Summer's calling, and shackshop.us has you covered. Dive into hot sales on lady swimsuits, sleek, stylish, and perfect for pool or beach. Stay connected and on trend with smartwatches that track your every move. Explore the depths with underwater drones and reach new heights with our flying drones. Adventure starts here. Hurry, these deals won't last. Shop now at shackshop.us and make this season unforgettable. Shackshop.us, where adventure meets style.
Illinois Democrats stay silent on controversial immigration vote after Chicago student's killing sparks national debate. The fatal shooting of an 18-year-old college student in Chicago has ignited a fierce national conversation about immigration enforcement, public safety, and the political accountability of elected officials. At the center of the controversy is a group of Illinois lawmakers who are now facing scrutiny after declining to publicly defend their votes against the Laken Riley Act, a measure designed to expand federal authority to detain undocumented immigrants accused of certain crimes. The case has drawn widespread attention not only because of the tragic loss of a young life, but also because of the broader policy implications it raises. Critics argue that gaps in enforcement allowed a repeat offender to remain free, while others warn that proposed solutions risk undermining constitutional protections. A tragic incident near campus. The victim, Sheridan Gorman, was a freshman attending Loyola University, Chicago. She was just beginning her college journey when her life was abruptly cut short in a shooting near the university's Lakeshore campus. Authorities allege that the suspect, Jose Medina, had previously been arrested in Cook County on a shoplifting charge. That earlier encounter with law enforcement has now become a focal point in the debate, as some officials claim it could have led to federal detention under stricter immigration policies. The killing has shaken students, families, and residents across the city, raising urgent questions about safety and accountability. The policy at the center, Laken Riley Act. The Laken Riley Act, named after a Georgia college student who was killed in a separate case involving an undocumented immigrant, aims to require federal authorities to detain individuals who are in the country illegally if they are arrested for certain offenses, including theft-related crimes. Supporters of the legislation argue that it closes dangerous loopholes by ensuring that individuals who may pose a risk are not released back into communities while awaiting further legal proceedings. Opponents, however, contend that the bill goes too far. They argue it could lead to the detention of individuals who have not been convicted of a crime, raising serious constitutional concerns related to due process and equal protection under the law. Lawmakers under pressure. In the wake of the tragedy, attention has turned to Illinois' congressional delegation. A majority of Democratic lawmakers from the state voted against the bill, and many have since declined to elaborate on their reasoning when asked by reporters. Among those who previously spoke on the issue is Brad Schneider, who indicated earlier that he would oppose the legislation. Schneider argued that while public safety is a fundamental responsibility of government, the bill as written could lead to unintended consequences, including the detention of individuals who have not been found guilty of wrongdoing. Other lawmakers, including Jonathan Jackson, emphasized the broader context of the issue. Jackson described the killing as a heartbreaking and senseless act, while also cautioning against reducing complex policy debates to a single piece of legislation. Similarly, Jan Schakowsky expressed condolences to the victim's family, but did not directly address her position on the bill in recent statements. Federal officials weigh in. Officials from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security have taken a more forceful stance, suggesting that the tragedy could have been avoided under different policies. According to statements from DHS representatives, the suspect's prior arrest might have triggered federal detention under the framework proposed in the Laken Riley Act. From this perspective, the case is being cited as an example of how current policies may fail to prevent repeat offenses. These claims, however, are not without controversy. Critics argue that it is difficult to definitively determine whether a different policy would have changed the outcome, noting that law enforcement and legal processes involve many variables. Sanctuary policies under scrutiny. The incident has also reignited debate over so-called sanctuary policies in cities like Chicago. These policies generally limit cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. Supporters of sanctuary policies argue that they help build trust between immigrant communities and police, making it more likely that crimes will be reported and witnesses will come forward. Opponents counter that such policies can create gaps in enforcement, allowing individuals with prior arrests to remain in the community rather than being transferred to federal custody. The tension between these perspectives has become a defining feature of the national immigration debate. Political reactions across the country. The case has drawn reactions from political figures beyond Illinois. Critics of current immigration policies have pointed to the incident as evidence of systemic failures, while others have warned against politicizing a tragedy. Some lawmakers have called for sweeping reforms to immigration enforcement, arguing that public safety must be the top priority. Others have emphasized the need for balanced solutions that protect both communities and civil liberties. This divide reflects broader national disagreements over how to address immigration challenges in a way that is both effective and consistent with American legal principles. The complexity of preventability. One of the most contested aspects of the discussion is the claim that the tragedy was preventable. While some officials assert that stricter policies would have kept the suspect in custody, others caution that such conclusions are speculative. Legal experts note that detention decisions depend on a range of factors, including the nature of the charges, available evidence, and judicial discretion. Even under stricter laws, outcomes can vary widely. As a result, the question of preventability remains deeply intertwined with broader philosophical and legal debates about risk, rights, and the role of government. A community in mourning. Amid the political debate, the loss of Sheridan Gorman remains at the heart of the story. Friends, classmates, and family members have remembered her as a young woman full of promise, whose life was just beginning. Vigils and memorials have been held in her honor, with many calling for unity and reflection rather than division. For those closest to her, the policy arguments unfolding in Washington and state capitals are secondary to the profound personal loss they are experiencing. Looking ahead, the controversy surrounding the Laken Riley Act and the response of Illinois lawmakers is unlikely to fade quickly. As the national conversation on immigration continues, cases like this will likely remain central to the debate. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle face increasing pressure to articulate clear positions and propose solutions that address public concerns while upholding constitutional values. Whether that leads to new legislation, policy changes, or continued gridlock remains to be seen. Conclusion. The killing of a college student in Chicago has become more than a local tragedy. It has evolved into a flashpoint in one of the most contentious policy debates in the United States. At its core, the issue raises difficult questions. How can the country best ensure public safety? What balance should be struck between enforcement and individual rights? And how should policymakers respond when tragedy intersects with politics? As these questions continue to be debated, one thing remains certain. The human cost of such incidents cannot be overlooked, even as the nation grapples with the policies that may shape its future.